Arcade is based on that engine. Built it in that editor, exported it as a GLB with some of these converters and stuff like Jen talks about. Got it into hubs, no problem, because once you get something into Blender, it basically can go anywhere, especially if it's a simple thing that doesn't require complex rigging like an avatar model. That's what we're talking about, avatar models. So I am Jarek here. This is the basic hubs model, but it has Jarek on my chest. Hopefully it's working out. Jarek is this bald fellow here. He's actually from the Star Wars universe. He was featured in one game, so there's actually only one official 3D model of him that exists. Well, two, because he was wearing 2 sets of clothes in that game. But that was made in like 97. All of the Jareks you see these days were made by fans, ported around by fans, not made by the official Star Wars canon. So I have assumed this dude's identity. You could be him in that game back in the day called Jedi Knight. Here's a screenshot over here in the bottom right. I have the HD fan-made remake version of him in there. Even in Jedi Knight, that's the version that I use. He's my 2D avatar on Gravatar. So whenever I sign up somewhere with my email, it's a 2D picture of this guy, like that's on my chest. Plus the 2D version of him, it's easy to throw on like TV heads or TV chests like I did here. Some apps are set up that way to take it. So he originally was in JK. I exported him from there, which is like a weird 3DO proprietary format. Exported him as an FBX or something. I got it to Jin, and he got it into Blender. And after Jin got it into Blender, he was able to follow some tutorials and get it into some other games. And they are VR chat up here, which is awesome because it has IK, so I get to wiggle my fingers around and that kind of stuff. Well, actually, no, I can't wiggle my fingers around, but I can move my arms around. You didn't need tutorials. You just knew it all offhand. Well, normal people use tutorials. Down here is Craftopia, which is a game that had Vroid support. So Jen got my model into as a Vroid on that site, and then it was easy for me to get in there real easy. Minecraft, when you make a Minecraft character, it's actually just one texture. So I found the Minecraft Jarek on a website. Some other user made it, and then I was able to apply that skin onto my character. And then over here on the end, I have the PlayCanvas screenshots, and PlayCanvas is kind of like Unity, but for the web. I imported the character into there, and I used them as like in a side scroller. I could run around as Jarek, and also that's a GIF up there. I don't think it's playing on the top of me wiggling my fingers with a Mixamo keyframe animation. Okay, so I am Jarek everywhere, but I look a little bit different depending on what game I'm in. If I'm in Minecraft, I'm still Jarek, but I look like a blockhead Minecraft man. The other games I look pretty much the same because they're all newer than where the model came from. So I look the same there. And you can forward port like that. Usually newer engines can support the same kind of stuff older engines, but that's not always true because like Minecraft, it's just a different kind of engine. It's newer than some of these games, but it's just different. So it just looks a certain way. Anyways, I am Jarek, and when I am Jarek in a game, it makes the game so much better. Let me move the 3D model of Jarek over here now. I'm done talking about him. I'll make it real big. This is the cool version, ported from JK. That is a GLB that we're looking at over here. I actually converted both of these to GLBs while I was listening to Jen there. And then there's one more. I'll shrink this thing back down. There's this guy. This is the original one. This is the only official model of Jarek here. He's real low poly. He has like 16 by 16 textures mirrored on both sides. He's old school. And there's that one. Okay. It's awesome being able to be the same guy in all the games. When I see that my guy is Jarek in a game, especially in games that he doesn't belong in, like Craftopia, it makes me care about the game more. So as a user, it makes me play games, makes me want to play games specifically because I can be Jarek in it. That's a motivation for people to implement VRM support or other easily importable formats for avatars in their game, because you're actually offering value to your users. It's a lot like built-in mod support. It is built-in mod support, but specifically getting your guy in there, your avatar. Okay, that's all that I wanted to talk about there. I have one more thing to mention, though. So this was just like a show and tell about who I am, my little avatar guy, and why it's so awesome to be able to be the same guy in multiple apps. Move this dude off stage left and bring in a couple more things. Implementing avatars. I mentioned a minute ago about how it's easy to implement Ready Player Me because it's simple skeleton stuff and it's one set of animations and it works on all the avatars, one set of animations for each of the two skeletons. VRMs, super hard because it seems like they were made for IK. They don't even have, I haven't encountered one that had like animations built in. They all have a different kind of skeleton, so you can add VRM support, but you have to do animation retargeting and other very advanced things that some of us here know how to do. But I think that we want an avatar system for cross-compatibility that is easy for devs to implement, not hard and robust, simple and easy. To that note, I am making a game. I have this game, Anarchy Arcade Source. It's on Source Engine. It's just like hubs and everything like we're doing here. Everybody hangs out and makes a little media arcade, spawning media in it. I'm going to make a WebGL game on PlayCanvas. It's going to be called Anarchy Arcade PlayCanvas, and it's going to be cross-compatible with Anarchy Arcade Source. I've already created the project. It's basically just a blank project, but it exists, and I'm tinkering around in it. And I'm going to show you one of the things that I tinker around with right now. In a minute. So I'm going to be actually implementing this cross-compatibility between two different engines that are completely incompatible. Source engine that doesn't support GLBs or anything like that, and then WebGL, PlayCanvas, which supports GLBs, FBXs, and all that kind of stuff, OBJs, pretty much everything because it's web. The media items that are going to be transitioning between the two, so the props and the environments, what I'm going to do is make a list that has just the baseline things that I expect to be cross-platform from one to the other. So on Anarchy Arcade Source, there's thousands of environments that you could use, including add-on environments. But for the base level, easy cross-compatibility, I'm going to just have a list of like a dozen of like the default levels that are simple to make and easy to port over, and I don't expect would cause problems for people in various engines to support with. So I'm going to make this list that has all those assets in there. So that handles environments and props. Then there is avatars. Now, I've implemented a bunch of avatar systems with animations and motion blending and all that kind of stuff, and that's awesome. However, I want something super easy, not only so other people can implement it easily, but so I can implement it. I'm just one guy, and I need to set my sights really low because even when I set my sights low, it gets hard by itself. So I'm just going with the baseline connection for avatars between the source client and the PlayCanvas web client. And then I can build it up from there. So the baseline is this 2D avatar. I have it on my chest. I see somebody has a Firefox symbol on their chest over there. It's really good. You could throw it on TV heads like we were looking at earlier. And that's exactly what Anarchy Arcade does. This picture that's getting larger over here. This is a multiplayer screenshot from Anarchy Arcade. And there's 3 people shown in it. One is me, and I look like Cloud because the local player has a full avatar, but the other people are their 2D avatar on floating TV heads. They don't even have a body like the NFT avatars you saw earlier. They got a top hat on their TV head, so they're people. But that's the baseline support of representing them, because I can look at that TV head with the top hat at its face and know who it is. When I see that avatar of Zaphian, who's on the right-hand side, I know it's Zaphian because that's what he looks like. So that's like the minimal, thank you for the pointer. That's like the minimal recognition that you can have is just that 2D image. And that is all that I'm going to be trying to make cross-compatible at first to my 3D web client is floating TV head avatars. And that's where I was going with that, because we were looking at TV head avatars earlier, and there's merit to it because it's easy for people to implement, not unlike how Ready Player Me's are easy for developers to implement because it's it's a standardized skeleton. Avatar images, all you need is a game that can load a PNG or a JPG or something from a URL as a texture. That's most games these days, and you can hack it into any game that doesn't already have it. Absolutely. Now, I plan to make take off the top hat and put a mohawk on one TV and let users customize like that. However, the way that I plan on customizing my TV heads, maybe it's not the best way, is ripping off what Steam VR Home did very well. And that is you start with a base TV head without a top hat, and then you freely, in VR in that app, place props on it, like a top hat or a chain or whatever you want. You can spawn a lot of props and then you attach it to your TV head. And everybody's TV head looks very unique beyond just the picture when they do that, because it's like a custom arrangement they did. Team VR, yeah, they have a really neat like abstract kind of avatar thing, kind of like this. A lot of apps go for that abstract thing. You don't look realistic, but it's super customized in person. You can see the personality of that person come through their avatar. Okay, so I'm making a cross-platform app, and I'm going for super simple stuff where it's just going to be floating TV heads. Everything's open source in this thing that I'm making. So if y'all are interested, just leave me positive feedback when I share stuff on the Discord, and I'll share more. If you don't like it, thumbs down, and I'll shut up. Okay, last thing I want to talk about today is this video over here. I did this morning, I think. I did it to a cube yesterday, but then today I switched it to this Ready Player Me thing. Okay, so this is Source Engine, Anarchy Arcade, floating around for the parent environment, but the avatar dancing is a live running Ready Player Me GLB running with Mixmo animations in a web tab that is being used as a sprite. Now it looks like it's really in the environment as far as like the camera's circling around it, and you can see the top of it and the back of it, because the camera in the web tab is camera matching to the camera in the parent environment. So if I turn my head in the parent environment, what it's rendering changes a little bit. And that's how I Yes. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, what's the other copy that's playing on the 2D screens with the black background in the world? That is what the web tab is actually rendering. It's rendering with transparency though, and transparency shows up as black on those screens. But when I spawn it on another type of model, it uses the alpha channel. Okay, so look, just focus on what's on the in-game screen, like with the black background. Okay, that's just a play canvas, or I've done it with 3JS also. It's just a 3D scene rendering, but the background color is not black; it's transparent, which you can do in HTML and in webs. All websites have an alpha channel. You just have to set the background color to the word transparent. Anarchy Arcade utilizes that. So it's taking the live rendered play canvas scene in the background, and it's just adjusting the camera angles. Absolutely. So it's not streaming; it's just a web tab that is rendering its it's actually having its pixels copied over to an in-game surface. It's an invisible web tab, but it's actually having it copied over, and it looks like a hologram. Okay, so I bring this up because we were talking about doing the virtual production stuff, trying to be cross-platform with our avatars. This would be a ridiculous way to do it. We could see that page that's running with the black background. Just focus on that, not the weird 3D stuff around it. If we made an app that was just about you having your VTuber on a page that had a transparent background, any app that had the ability to spawn billboard like images with alpha channels like Anarchy Arcade, like I'm sure VR chat and other platforms could be modded to do, your avatar, your VTuber would work just as well as it does here over there. So this is kind of like a video avatar, even though it's live 3D rendered. They can help with cross compatibility. The downside and limitation of this is it can be viewed from any angle, but it can only render at one angle. So everybody needs to be rendering it locally still. It's not streamed from a web server in light. It's not optimized. There is. I wrote that one. Okay, for on the web browser, perhaps. Yeah. So I wrote that thing there that puts anybody's webcam on a green screen thing for UV atlasing out and chroma keying. That's cool because it takes care of actually being able to talk and all that too live. Um, Yes. Yes, there's stuff like FaceRig and a whole lot of apps like it. And FaceRig has a newer version called something else now by the makers of FaceRig. And there are tutorials. If you're down to read tutorials, you said you didn't do the other stuff, but there's tutorials about how to get your any model from Blender into your thing, and they probably have some really good pipelines for VRM because that's a popular one. You get it in there and it renders. You can choose a background, but you could also choose a transparent green background, and then you could set it as your virtual camera. And when you set it as a virtual camera, there's some apps like some. Yeah, um, yeah. VR chat could do it. I'm not sorry, not VR chat. AltSpace had a whole API based on interacting between the parent world and the web tab running in there. As long as there's a post message API or a JavaScript API or an extended navigator object or something for communication to happen, you just pass in the camera orientation or coordinates into the web tab through like every 30 times a second, 60 times a second, 90 times a second. You pass it in, and then you just adjust your camera accordingly. Quick technical note about my little dancing avatar thing here and how I pulled this off. So I have these billboards that always face the camera, right? All that I do is I pass in the pitch, yaw, and roll of that billboard into the web tab, and it sets that pitch, yaw, roll to the camera's pitch, yaw, roll. It sets the camera's pitch, yaw, roll to whatever the sprites is, and the way that it works out is perfectly like that, basically perfectly. So I didn't even have to do any vector conversion between coordinate systems or anything. I just passed three numbers 144 times a second from the parent world into the web tab, and I was able to do that. Yeah. I was super happy because I've done this before in 3JS into that cube the other day. But in this one, it looked so good that it looked like nothing at all. I was very happy about that because that means it's working. A special I heard a special effects designer say that once. It's like if you do the special effects perfectly, the audience doesn't even know that they're looking at special effects. And that was the kind of feeling that I got when it worked so well this morning. Okay, everybody, thank you for hanging out and listening to that. Are there any questions about the kind of stuff that I just talked about here? Thank you for listening then. Aves, are you ready to take the stage next?